But what we want to cover off today is less about specifics and more about the general pitfalls that bikers are going to fall into. So what I want to do to begin with is just get Jake on the bike, and we'll cover off the common posture that we'll see while riders are in the saddle. Then we'll take each piece and we'll break down how to address that and keep you guys moving well with a joint by joint approach. And we'll give it really simple advice, some basic exercises that we can all do with minimal equipment, and just a few minutes per week.
Amazing. So this why we're about to go through really helped me understand and help, I guess, motivate me to actually do the exercises. So I recommend watching this through at least once. If you've already watched this video and you're coming back just to practice the exercises again, feel free just to use the chapter markers to skip through to the exercises.
Sick. All right, sweet. So just get pedaling for us. Imagine the camera's not there. Imagine maybe you're a little bit tired, and don't be afraid to exaggerate some of the poorer posture that you might expect to see from some bikers, right?
So a little bit side since it's perfect.
So as we know, biking, mountain biking especially, super fun, awesome for the body, low impact, pretty friendly for the most part, great for our heart and lungs. However, posturally, there's some pitfalls that we need to look out for. We are sitting down, and that's a common posture throughout most of our lives that's not necessarily positive and has known outcomes that we don't really like for people, right? So we think bad backs, we think glutes that don't activate, weak cores, poor posture, head position. So why don't we start at the top, and we'll go through some of the common head position things that we will find is that when we get tired, we can kind of drop a little bit through the shoulders here and the head can come up, and we'll sort of just look up for me. Yeah, this is one of our first positions that we don't like, right? So we're craning at the neck. We're going to get some tension happening up in the traps here. We might get some shoulder and neck pain towards the end of rides. Furthermore, once our head is sort of dumping forwards and we're dropping through the shoulders, we're going to be applying more pressure into the handlebars, and that's going to give us tired hands, right? Coming back into the shoulders here, we really are locked in. There's not a ton of movement in there, and you'd be amazed the amount of cyclists that can't reach overhead, maybe this guy included, can't reach overhead without having to really crane through their spine, right? So shoulder mobility is an important one that gets locked up. This part of our spine, our thoracic spine, really likes to move, and cycling does nothing for that, unfortunately, right? Mountain biking absolutely is better than most for maintaining our mobility, but it's still not gonna give us what we need to be a well-rounded human. So we're gonna work on thoracic mobility, enabling Jake to still get his chest up and open without giving away his lower back, right? And maintaining a nice tall neutral posture when he's going about through his day, maintaining good shoulder mobility again, right? Coming down into the lower back again, we can, if we look at the spine of a cyclist at best, and Jake's got quite good posture right now, he's got nice neutral spine, but for the most part, I'd say we're a little worse than that, right? And we tend to be more rounded, okay? A healthy spine's going to have a slight two-way curve in it. And so when we're on the floor later on, we're going to look at how do we maintain both ends of that curve. Getting down into the hips here, yeah, we're getting some hip extension and hip flexion, but really it's very limited if you look at the real degrees through which Jake is moving, and we need our hips to be able to move through, what do we think, 120, 130 degrees of flexion and extension. Furthermore, they also rotate, and being on the bike encourages us to just use one plane of motion, the sagittal plane. Issues with loss of rotation in the hips can quite often be felt in the back, and they can also be felt in cyclists in the knees. If you're getting knee pain and just stretching your quads out, it's possible that some hip mobility might be in order for you too, okay? And then, yeah, coming further down into the leg, the quads can get quite tight. Again, the knee isn't really going through full extension, full flexion, so maintaining good knee mobility or knee range of motion, restoring healthy length quads is going to be something that we're going to look at when we're down on the floor too. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks for explaining all of that, Alex.
Yeah.
Now it's time to get on the mat, get into some exercises.
Yeah, we'll get you lying down on your back, mate.
Okay, sweet.
And we'll start at the top. Okay, so head position, neck position. Jake, go ahead and bend your knees, feet flat on the floor. Perfect. Okay. And what we're going to think about right now is just we're going to mitigate for our sort of day-to-day postural issues for the most part, but it's also going to be pretty useful for most bikers. Okay. So what we're going to work on is a chin tuck. Chin tuck's really simple, but can be messed up. What I like to think about is if you take your hand and just put it behind your neck right now, you're going to notice there's a space between your neck and the floor, right? And we're going to try and close that space. It's not going to close all the way, right? But yeah, and the thought for a lot of people that's going to be helpful there is think about making double chins. when we think about the back of the spine, what we're actually going to be doing is lifting the crown of the head and dropping the chin. So the back of the head will slide up the wall. Chin will come down. We're always in contact with the floor, and we're going to be closing that space. We might not get flat against the floor, but we're just going to feel a bit of a squeeze through the front of our deep neck flexors there, and we're going to feel some stretch in the upper traps, all right? Then you're going to relax.
Yeah.
And we're just going to go gently modulating in and out of that movement for about 10 reps, okay? Shouldn't be too, we shouldn't be straining too hard with it, okay? But what we're doing here is actually helping to strengthen muscles that are going to stabilize us on the bike, all right? And they're bringing us back into a position of having options. I like so much about riding the bike is about being in you know, a good, strong position so that we can move forwards and backwards and up and down, right? Well, our head, if we're all the way up here and all the way up here, we don't really have a lot of places that we can go. However, if we're in a nice neutral head position, then we can move up and down and forwards and backwards. And that helps us to stay steadier through chunky stuff on the bike when then maybe we're not riding as smoothly as we should, okay? So head position, number 1. Okay, number 2 is we're going to start to move down the chain, down your spine specifically, and we're going to look at your thoracic spine. So I'm going to pop a foam roller right here, and you're going to lie down on, and we're thinking the base of the shoulder blades. Bra strap height is a good landmark, right? But where your shoulder blades stop and it becomes mid-back, okay? From that position, you're then going to go take your hands behind your head. You're going to bring your elbows towards each other, and that's going to separate the shoulder blades and expose the ribs and the spine to the roller a little bit. Now, if you were to just sort of blindly go into this one and just start moving backwards and forwards, what's likely to happen is that you're going to start flexing and extending through your lower back, right down here. We want to isolate that area. So before you move, I want you to think about pushing that lower back down into the floor. Good. Now we're going to lock that in to engage your abs. And we're going to now sort of not get as much movement, but we're going to be getting the movement where we want it, okay? And so my thought, what I like to tell people is we're trying to point the elbows behind you and then come back to neutral, okay? Again, go for about 10 reps. How's that feel?
Very good.
Yeah.
This has been one of my favorites.
That's your sensitive spot, right? Yep, with last year's injury.
But it's getting better. It works.
Beautiful. In terms of breathing, right, there's a big relationship between this part of our body and our breath. So as we go back, let's think about exhale to go back. And what that's going to do is help our diaphragm to descend and just maintain stability there, right? We don't really want to associate opening up the rib cage with relaxing everything in the core, because what we see when people give up their good, strong posture is rib cage will pop, all right? And that means that we've got some disconnect in the core, right? So I think exhale as we go back with the elbows. Inhale again to fill back up with air as we come back down this way. Go for a couple more there. Awesome. Okay, let's move into shoulders now, but we're going to get a bit of a double whammy with your T-spine and your thoracic spine, right? So that's every vertebrae that's attached to a rib. Lie down on your side this time, facing the camera for me, knees tucked up. And you're going to bring those knees up in front of you here. Cool. You know this one from Breakfast Club, right? So this is called Round the World. And what we're going to do is try and draw a circle on the floor. Now, there's a few rules about this one, right? Like, not everybody's going to be able to keep their finger on the floor as they go all the way around, and that's okay. You might be too stiff to do that, or you might get snagging in your shoulder. You don't need to force through any kind of snagging.
My good side.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's nice. It's looking good. So Jake's doing a good job of keeping his knees down and together here, which means that his whole body is not rotating. The idea here is that we're creating some differential, some twist between the hips and the upper body, right? So Jake's got about a 90-degree turn going on right now. If we flip over on the other side for me, and we're just going to show everybody what happens at the back here. So Jake's going to swing around. We're going to open up. Cool. So a lot of people hold it there. A lot of people will get to this position and they'll think, man, my hand's really close to the floor. All I've got to do is kind of like sneak it backwards, crane it backwards, and I'm going to get there. But actually, we're not so interested in how close the hand is getting to the floor. I'm interested in how close the shoulder blade is getting to the floor, okay? So Jake, take a big deep breath in for me. And when you exhale, drive this shoulder blade down towards the floor. Good. Go for like 3 or 4 breaths until you feel like you've run out of gains. And then you can close it back up. And then we'll go again, okay? So not only are we getting more thoracic mobility through this one, rotation of the spine, which we don't get on the bike, but we're starting to get the shoulders involved too. Okay. Okay, so next one, we're on our back. We're going to work on that hip extension that we said was the missing piece with our partial pedaling strokes, right? So Jake, set up like you're going to do a glute bridge, right? So feet are flat on the floor. A typical glute bridge would just be popping the hips up, sinking them back down to the ground again. But what we're going to work on is getting some really good hip extension, right? So what I want you to do is grab one knee and pull it to your chest. All right, that's locking this one knee in. This right hip is kind of locked in now, which means your pelvis isn't really going to move anywhere. What I'm going to get you to do is drive through that left heel, pop your hips up as high as you can get them. You're going to feel a stretch here. Keep the knee close to the chest, close as you can to the chest, right? Good, feels pretty tight, eh? Yeah. Where do you feel that tension?
I can feel my hammy from Thursday's workout.
This hammy, yeah.
But definitely here in here,
feeling tight. You can bring it out to the side, right? It doesn't have to be straight in line. Just wants to be kind of locked up. And what we're doing here is we're driving really good hip extension through this leg. Okay, drop it back down again. Let's go for like 5, okay? Keep the knee tight and drive those hips up high. Good. So we'll do 5 per side. Jake's doing a really good job of holding at the top of the contraction, which is where all the good stuff happens, right? The glutes are working really hard. They're short and they're working with a lot of force. And the front of that hip is coming into full, like almost terminal hip extension, which is our missing piece when we're on the bike. Yeah. Cool. All right, let's stay with the hips. Jake, can you come up to a seated position now? And we're going to go shin box windshield wipers. So Jake's going to have feet. Let's start off with your feet in front of you. Be like so. So hands are on the floor to support us, okay? We're going to have width in between the feet because we need space for both knees to touch the floor. With hands supporting you, we're going to push both knees over to one side. We can follow, and the hand can come around, and we want to try and get both knees down to the ground. Okay. Explore how that feels, and then we're going to take them back up and over the other way. And what we can do here is we can give less and less support from our hands, right? And we may end up going full unsupported there. But we're exploring this position because we're into internal rotation through this hip right now, external rotation through this hip. And these are both important missing parts of spending time on the bike, right? We can really explore a lot about this position. We can get into glute stretches. We can work on internal rotation strength from the hips. But just exploring this position and sitting on the floor, anybody who's got little kids and hates it when they want to play on the floor with them, this is a really good exercise to practice if you're trying to convince yourself to get down on the floor. Get down on the floor, get into your shin box position, and play around with that, okay?
Amazing. That one feels really good after this morning's ride.
It sure does, yeah. Yeah, I was sitting cross-legged at the trampoline gym just a second ago with my kid.
That's right.
And that felt really nice too, right? So even just sitting back up against the wall, opening up your hips, okay? Next one we'll get into is a couch stretch.
Okay, great. Get our couch.
Or a bench. All right, so how's your comfort level with this one?
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this one. Do it at home as well.
Do you want a cushion for your knee?
No.
Yeah, you good? Okay. All right, so what we're going to do here is going to look like a little bit of a hip flexor stretch, and it's also going to look like a quad stretch at the same time. Jake's going to take one foot, put it behind him on the bench, and he's going to drop that left knee down to the floor. Bring your right foot forward so that you can get it planted. Cool. All right, and so what Jake again has here is full hip extension. All right, and that muscle that lives at the front of his thigh here, his quad, is fully lengthened. All right, so we're getting a nice end range knee flexion going on. So we're taking tension and hopefully relieving any tension that might be happening in the quadriceps tendon through the patella. If you're getting patellofemoral pain, this can be a nice one. So we're getting a nice stretch through here, but we're also getting good stretch through the hip flexor, which is our key one when it comes to back health too, right? So hold that guy for, I'd say 45 seconds to a minute. I'm a big fan of stretches where you can hang out, right?
Mm.
If you feel like you're here for 10 seconds and you're sweating bullets, it's probably too intense. And all you've got to do is move your knee further forward away from that bench. And that's going to make it a little bit less intense for you, more accessible. But the better you get at this, the closer your heel is going to get to your bum, right? And then I'm also paying attention to this lower back position. You've got a nice neutral spine right now. If it was too much, then we might see that Jake's back was arched, okay?
Right.
And that would be kind of cheating his way into the stretch. Do you want to change sides?
Yeah, let's tip you off that.
I'm going to say that I think that's a pretty good top to bottom
Yeah, 10.
mobilizer, right?
Really.
Covers off all the hot spots for people. There's an awful lot that we, when we're stretching and we're mobilizing, we're creating relief from environmental issues that have caused, tightening, right? But what I really like to refer to this as presenting is a window of opportunity, right? Mm. So while we can use these stretches to make sure that we feel good when we get off the bike, what I would love for everybody is to do these kind of drills when they don't feel awful, right? When you're not at the end of a ride. We're not doing it reactively, but we're doing it proactively, right? And if you were to combine this, so for you, like we can be individualistic with it, right? So I'll say, Jake, you're a bit tight through your thoracic spine, so I want you to work on some thoracic spine openers before all of your workouts. And for you, what that's going to do is it's going to help you to achieve better overhead reach. And so when we're in the gym together, right, we spend time doing overhead pressing, overhead pulling. Some mobilization is giving you a window of opportunity to reach better positions and therefore create better strength. And when we start to lay down strength through good, healthy patterns and ranges of motion, that's going to start to be more enduring than just a simple stretch, which is going to go away after a few hours and you're going to have to do it again tomorrow.
Right.
But if we start to mobilize and then reteach patterns, then we're sort of creating software in the brain that's going to help our muscles to work better. And then getting strength in there is going to help you to sort of press save on the document, as it were.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your wealth of
Thank you.
knowledge here.
Thank you.
Hope this has been helpful for everyone watching. If anyone watching is interested in diving a little bit deeper and perhaps getting some personalized feedback, some personalized mobility or strength training work from you, where's the best place for them to find you?
Yeah, so mtbstrengthcoach.ca is my website. I'm on Instagram at vmtbstrengthcoach. And we've got online programs working with people all over North America, Europe, New Zealand, all over the place. So yeah, hit me up. Happy to answer questions. I've got a cool free assessment you guys can try out called the Ride Stronger assessment. That'll give you a bit of a score. And for anybody who actually completes the whole thing, I'll be able to actually make a personalized video for you, send it back and give you some ideas on where you might be able to make some improvements. And that'll touch a little bit on the more specialized stuff that I was talking about.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Alex.
Thank
I'll
you,
put links to all that in the show notes. Until next time, happy trails.
Cheers.